Hello again, everybody, and welcome back. You see, I moved up. I moved up in the couch like so many people frickin' asked me to. So you better not bitch and complain about where I'm sitting now. Are you happy? Jesus. I'm already 10 seconds in and I'm pissed off. No, I'm just playing. Alright, so today we are looking at a topic that is important to know when getting to know somebody who is very passionate about music, and that is artists which they hate. Now, let's lay down some ground rules here for this list that I made. A list that, by the way, was very, very hard to make because of said rules. I was making this list, and I was like, I don't want to put some artists on here that I'm just like, I don't really care for them, because that's not hating, One day I'll do a list of artists I think are overrated that I'm like, I don't think they deserve their credit. But none of these bands do I think deserve their credit. Bands and artists, I should say. I think they're all terrible. I hate them all. Like a passionate hate. So that's why when I was looking back at some bands, I was like, I can't put this band on here because I look at a band like Metallica that I don't like that much. And I'm like, well, their first album's really good. And they got a couple songs scattered throughout the rest of their albums that are okay. And then I looked at a band like Fall Out Boy and I was like, their new stuff is horrendous. But, their early stuff when they actually played instruments was pretty good. And Maroon 5, believe it or not, I like 2 of their songs from their first album. So then, I was like, I can't put the obvious stuff on here. Because if you knew what I was going to put on here, then you wouldn't watch the video. Also, shout out to PJs. Haven't shot a video without wearing my trusty PJs yet, so... but I was like, I'm not going to put the obvious ones on here. I'm not going to put any country artists, because country doesn't count as music, and I'm not going to put Imagine Dragons on here for the obvious fact that they don't make music either. What they produce is products for the sole reason of making money, not for entertaining, not for giving back to the fans. No, they just want money, and that's why they take no time at all to work. So, I've compiled a list of, I wanted 5 or 6. I tried to scatter them out through the genre. Like, I was like, alright, I want a pop star, a rock band, a metal band, a rapper. But, like, I was thinking, and I was like, there's just either artists who I'm just meh about, or I'm like, I don't really care about. Like, I need passionate hatred. I need that anger. So, that is where we get these names here. Let's dig into this list and see if any artists you like are on here. Let's hope not. Starting off with our first entry, these are not in any particular order. I'm saving the one for the last because I think this artist I hate more than anything in the world. But we will cross that bridge when we arrive at. So starting off this list is Limp Bizkit. That's right, early 2000s new metal band Limp Bizkit. Head, leader, runner of this band, the biggest douchebag alive, other than Gene Simmons, Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst. Yes, now Limp Bizkit, one of the main reasons I hate this band so much is because there was a lot of good material to come out of the nu metal scene, and it is a band like Limp Bizkit that makes so many people just throw the genre away as trash. The same reason that people will look at artists like Lil Xan or artists like Lil Peep and say this is why rap is a shithole now, which is just not true at all. You gotta look deeper, but those bands will turn people from the outside world off. So that's why that's just one reason I hate Limp Bizkit. I hate the yeah, Fred Durst, man, yeah. I fucking hate that shit. It pisses me off because it's like he's trying to be cool. Like, I don't know, man. And the riffs are boring, and they almost all sound the same. I mean, like, someone will look at this and be like, nu metal is just fucking terrible, without hearing some of the bands that you could look at. I mean, look at a band like Korn. God damn, that is an amazing band. But when it comes to bands like Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, the lead singer, we can't say that they are the same. They are a really terrible band. Alrighty, the next entry on our list goes to the, I guess, group Bring Me the Horizon. I'm not even going to call them a band anymore because, I don't know, a lot of their new stuff is just overproduced, electronic trash. Their last album was terrible, and even going back to this band's roots when they were a metalcore band, it wasn't good metalcore. And just like with Limp Bizkit, that's like something that'll turn people off to the genre. You know, bands like Attila and Bring Me the Horizon will turn people off to metalcore. So, I mean, you know, you gotta get away from it. Bring Me the Horizon, for some reason, though, is a really, really popular band, and I don't understand why. Their lyrics are edgy and terrible. Their production value on all their records is absolutely overblown and terrible. And I said terrible twice, didn't I? And not to mention that even when they were playing instruments, their riffs were basic and uninspiring. Their drums were just the same repeat triplet of a fucking bass pedal. And I don't even know who their lead singer is, but his voice is just unlistenable, which is a theme that you are going to see in this list. Trust me, you are going to see that theme a lot in this list. So, Bring Me the Horizon, I just hate when people say that they're, what's that fucking album they put out with the raindrops or whatever on the cover? I don't remember, but people say it's like one of the best metalcore albums of all time, which, I mean, fucking blows my mind, considering some of the albums out there, like We Came as Romans, To Plant a Seed, or like Lifelines by I Prevail, bands who have put out actually good projects that take time other than this just thrown to the side trash that we get from Bring Me the Horizon. But I don't know what you want me to do. No worst artists of all time list is complete without rapper, singer, songwriter Young Thug. Young Thug has absolutely nothing going in his arsenal at all whatsoever. Anytime I hear a Young Thug verse, I just cringe. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And not in a way that, like, when you hear the solo and Mr. Crawley hairs standing up. In a way where it's like somebody that you hated from high school, whose voice you always recognize, says your name in a supermarket, and your hairs just stand up because you know they're behind you and there's no way that you can escape the situation. It's kind of like that. Except worse, because I would rather see my worst enemies from high school than listen to the feature of Young Thug on Goodbyes by Post Malone. I have tried many times to listen to Young Thug. Many times, because everyone says, oh, he's got so much going for him, and he doesn't. The way he auto-tunes his voice is horrendous. It's like, you know that feature that Future has on King's Dead, where when everyone heard it, they're like, dude, this guy has to be kidding. Like, there's no way that this was unintentional. Like, this has to be on purpose. That's what I feel like when listening to Young Thug's voice. There's a lot of rappers out there who I like the way they auto-tune their voice. I like the way Travis Scott auto-tunes his voice. I like the way that the Migos auto-tune their voice. But using auto-tune as a tool is important, and you have to know how to do it. And Young Thug does not know how to do it. He does not know how to auto-tune his voice because it sounds awful. And when he hits higher notes and higher octaves, my ears explode. And not an ears exploding like when you hear the drum rolls in any Rush song. No, my ears explode like when your car screeches to a stop and then you smash into a pothole and you just think your life's gone to shit. Like that kind of ear explosion. Because Young Thug is just an explosion of no talent whatsoever. Alrighty, up next, one of the worst bands to come out of the 80s hard rock and hair metal scene. And of course, we are talking about Guns N' Roses. Surprisingly, this band is one of the most popular from that era, considering all the talent that came out around that time. I mean, we were talking about bands like Van Halen, we're talking about bands like Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, even, mid-career Judas Priest stuff is coming out of this era. And yet, Guns N' Roses is somehow one of the most, if not the most popular band to come out of that era, which doesn't make sense to me at all. Because A, Appetite for Destruction is a terrible album. That is one of the worst albums I have ever heard in my entire life. First of all, the thing that makes it as bad as it is Axl Rose. And just like with Bring Me the Horizon, except 40 times worse, Axl Rose has what I believe to be the worst voice in the history of possibly music. Looking at this list, I don't think anyone on this list has a worse voice than Axl Rose, and he doesn't make it work. You know, like Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead. His voice isn't incredible, but he makes it work. It sounds good. There's just no perceivable way that I can see Axl Rose's voice working in any medium or any way. It's just not listenable. His voice is just like the sound of nails scratching a chalkboard. His voice is like the sound of a car accident. His voice is like the sound of a ship exploding. Like, it's just a dumpster fire. And that's just talking about Axl Rose. Slash is not that great of a guitar player. Am I going to sit here and say he's a shitty guitar player? No, because, you know, that'd be hypocritical considering I can't play for shit. But his solos aren't that impressive. His riffs are boring. I think the Sweet Child of Mine riff is just awful. It sounds awkward and gross. And every time I hear it in the fucking liquor store or when you go to a gas station or a Kmart or something and that starts playing, you just immediately want to just throw up and then get back in your car and put on some good music that makes you not want to die a little bit on the inside. But I digress. That is where I finish my rant about Guns N' Roses. Let's just get it out there. Let's just get it known that Guns N' Roses isn't good. I don't like them. I will never like them. And I don't plan on trying again either. Now, before I get into my obvious number one pick, if people watching this know who I am, they will know who my number one pick is. And it's not Nirvana. Shout out does go to Nirvana. I hate Nirvana. I think Kurt Cobain's voice is terrible. The band has nothing going for them. They play the same 4 riffs in every song. They're boring. Another shout out is going to Ed Sheeran. I just felt like putting him on this list was kind of unfair to the whole obvious point. I tried not to put too many obvious selections on here, and if I put Ed Sheeran, it would be obvious. Ed Sheeran is the most... no, he's probably the second most untalented person in the music industry because my number one... Ed Sheeran is untalented. He can't play guitar. He can't sing. He can't write lyrics. He can't produce. He can't feature. He can't do anything for shit in the music industry. So, yeah, Ed Sheeran gets another shout-out. And I was thinking of another shout-out, but then when the words Ed and then Sheeran in that order followed out of my mouth, all of my thoughts just disappeared because, you know, when someone hears Ed Sheeran, they must be brainless because no one voluntarily listens to Ed Sheeran unless they're at a restaurant and hear Shape of You. We are here. My number one selection. This artist, if you follow me on Twitter, which you should, by the way, my Twitter handle is @Julian_C. Follow me on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on anything, if you've had a conversation with me in real life, then you will know that my least favorite artist, take a guess right now. Take a guess in your head. Think about it right now because I guarantee you know who I'm thinking of. I am thinking of the most idiotic human being alive. I'm thinking of the most untalented person to ever walk on this planet. I am thinking of somebody so overrated, so overblown that I can't even begin to believe that he became famous. And of course, I'm talking about the one they call Kanye West. Kanye West is so untalented. He is a terrible songwriter. And it just blows me away that his fans think that he's some mega genius and that there's deep meanings behind all these things that he does when he's actually he's a mastermind and all these things he's doing. You know, oh, guys, fucking Jesus is alive. That's whatever the fuck that album was. That's the fucking best project I've ever heard. Oh my fucking God, don't you just love it? Oh my fucking Jesus. Like, shut your fucking mouth, okay? Shut your goddamn mouth. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, unlistenable. The Life of Pablo, unlistenable. The College Dropout, unlistenable. The only Kanye West project that I found somewhat close to being tolerable was 808s and Heartbreaks, and that was only because of the instrumentals on that album that I enjoyed thoroughly. The lyrics were as all Kanye lyrics are. Stupid, boring, cheesy bars, just trash thrown out there. And then when Kanye has to put all these things together into a song, I mean, you take a bland instrumental, cheesy bars, shitty production, and then you just cram it into 3 minutes and then duplicate that 20 times into an hour-long album. I don't even know. It's just terrible. It's awful. I mean, I've only said those 2 words 46 times in this video. But there is truly no English word that has been created by anyone, not even Shakespeare, that can be accurately used to describe how just mind-blowingly awful and trashy. Like, those are literally the only two words that I can think of. Like, I'm trying to think of these big dick boy words to use and, like, just fucking blow everyone away that I'm not a, like, third grader who only knows 6 words, but I just can't. I just can't, because I'm thinking about Kanye West. And when you think about Kanye West, your IQ scientifically goes down half of what it used to be. I mean, if your IQ's 100, you listen to Kanye West, fucking slash that shit in half. Matt Hardy that shit, it's 50 now. Delete it all. If you fucking listen to Kanye West, and you think that his music is genius, so be it. I mean, I respect everyone's opinion. You know, I'm not here to criticize anyone for liking his music, but I am here to tell you that it is making you stupider. Because Kanye West fans are some of the most oblivious people on the planet, and when it comes to my least favorite fan bases, it's definitely up there as my, like, the most toxic and the most terrible fan base. Like, Rick and Morty's up there, anime stans are up there, Eminem fans are up there, but, like, Kanye fans are just oblivious. It's like they're staring at this brick wall, and they're like, this is Atlantis, this is the missing Atlantis, and someone next to him's like, nah, dude, that's just fucking clay bricks stacked up and cemented together. And they're like, no, don't you see? You must not be smart enough to understand that this is the missing city of Atlantis right here. And you're like, dude, that's a fucking brick wall. And I've gone into this brick wall analogy for half a minute now because I'm so pissed off about this. Because Kanye West fans refuse to acknowledge anyone else as being smart. There are people out here who think Kanye West is more talented than Kendrick Lamar. There are people out here that think Kanye West is more talented than Tyler, the Creator. There are people out here that think Kanye West is more talented than J. Cole. There are people out here thinking Kanye West is more talented than Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, some of the classics. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It truly just fucking blows my mind. And then I'm like, okay, so is Kanye West siding with, like, I don't get political that often, but is Kanye West siding with Donald Trump and saying that he's doing it for his people? Is there a double meaning to that? Is he gonna, like, fucking get on Trump's side and be like, oh, fucking duped you, throw the fucking cancel spell from Magic the Gathering, it's shit on? Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think I should end it there before I get a fucking migraine. Like that. Oh, my God. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all listening to me rant about my least favorite artists, and this is why I released this video rather than my favorite artists, because I don't get this excited about my favorite artists, which should really say something about how I am personally, and that is I am much more negative than I am positive. So if you enjoy negativity, if you enjoy a little bit of positivity, and overall if you enjoy rants and funny shit, and, you know, the same 6 words over and over again, fucking subscribe to the channel. Do what you want. Do what you want. If you want to go out there and listen to Kanye West, you do that shit. But just don't tell me that Kids See Ghosts is a great album, because it's not.